8 minutes is very short.
Okay, guys, well, let's continue with Carlos Hernan. I'm going to share his presentation. Remember, Carlos, you have 8 minutes, and we have to pay attention because we need to ask him a question, okay? Okay, here we are.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to this webinar, Teaching British English and American English in English Classes in a Real Context of Interaction. I'm gonna talk about the needs and the difference between this type of language. Okay, teacher, please stop in the next part. No, up, please, up, go up. The first part is blog. Yeah, thank you. Okay. You find here an engaging question. How important it is to teach British English and American English in a real context of educational context. I think British English is so crucial to teach around the world because it's the franca language around the world. But American English is very, very important to In this case, most of the students remain fascinated and confused by difference between British accent and American accent. Yeah, for example, when they hear serious in British English and American English, you find here different type of phonetics, words, expressions, and slang words, and like movies, TV series, and so on. They consume are also in of the those two varieties or diversities of English. In addition to Canadian or Australian English, include a mix of British and American forms. Yeah, but British English is so crucial in a real context on education because students need to recognize what is the narrative for the principal language around the world. Okay, teacher, please go back. And the next part is context. Thank you. In this part of the presentation, you'll find the difference between British and American English. Now, students need to recognize what is the forms, what is the expressions, what is the way to improve the British accent in the real context in different institutions. For example, in the public and private sector. Difference between British and American English can be divided into one relate to vocabulary, yeah, functional language, pronunciation, numbers, times, and dates, body language. In this case, this is the most important part for to learn one of the language. Spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Now, teacher, please go up. Now, the next part, you can find here the strategies. How important is for the teacher to realize different strategies into the classroom? Yeah. For example, what is the meaning for the different words between British English and American English? You find here different expressions, slang words, or words like football, soccer, or for example, shop or store, or for example, car park or parking lot. When the students watch the word car park, maybe the student recognize parkenting. Yeah, oh, this word is very important for me. I recognize the word. But in British English, you find different word or other expression. For example, parkenting lot. But you have to confuse because you say, "Oh, I don't understand what words. What is the meaning for these words?" Yeah. In this part of the presentation, interaction in a real context is crucial, is very enhanced because the teacher have the opportunity to improve the pronunciation using different strategies. For example, recognizing the words, for example, trousers and pants. Yeah, what is the difference between two words? Free write is one of the activity to allow improve this type of language. Free write is very important in this case. British and American English classroom activities are so crucial in a real context. Spill the British and Yanks. Free write is very relevant when the student need to recognize different words or expressions when they need to recognize the pronunciation, the grammar, and the spelling. For example, this example is so crucial. How British is your English? Yeah. For example, as a teacher, explain a situation for the students. Sorry, write up a date or number of figures. Yeah, when you need to understand the figures, you need to describe different situations. Um, for example, say a meaning and ask question to the students and what is the right or what is the appropriate reply for the question. Read out a word and ask students to spell it on their paper. This is free time, yeah? Or spelling. Spelling is very crucial in different language. Read out and show a gap sentence for students to complete, for example, in grammar situation. This activity is so relevant. And write out a sentence with no punctuation or dictation, a sentence. Punctuation is very important. Okay, the next part, teacher. To catch this idea is so relevant. It's very engaging to understand how the teacher needs in a real context. Teach of these twin languages. Yeah, there are fundamental difference in vocabulary pronunciation. Yeah, this is the phonetic and the phonology. Although the base of the language is the same, British English is usually thought to be more formal than American English. Yeah, the students prefer American English because linking words is so sweet when you speak. But British English is very formal, is more elegant, and you need to recognize what is the accent. When you say, "Would you like some water? Would you like some water?" I prefer to speak British English in formal way because students need to recognize what is the sounds, what is the meaning, what is the spelling, what is the expressions when you need to speak. Yeah, this is the methodology. In this paradigm, shadowing is a good technique. I love when in my classes I teach shadowing because the students recognize the words in a real context and the pronunciation. For example, when the students hear the Harry Potter movie, shadowing is an engaging strategy to improve the language and the pronunciation. This is for communication skills. And for this part, you, as a teacher, need to improve this skill listening serious in British English.
Time's
Uh,
off, Carlos. I'm sorry.
Thank you,
Time's
teacher.
off. Thank you for your presentation. Very good, very interesting, you know.
Teacher.
Yes, and well, I would like to. I was going to ask you which one do you prefer, but you already said that you prefer British. But now that you mentioned that, well, you are an English teacher right now.
Yeah.
When you are teaching to your students, I know you prefer British English, you know, but do you teach them, for example, the meaning of the same word in American English, or only you teach British English? Because yes, it happens with different words, you know, that the
Yeah.
spelling is different, and also and another thing that can happen a lot is that they use different words to express the same. So it is like crazy, right? And we're supposed to have the influence from British English because the Colombian bilingual plan and bilingualism plan is, it's with they are like the partners, but I see that in most of the institutes they teach, or they teach American English. So do you give to your students both parts, or only British?
Okay, teacher. In my classes, I love teaching both of this language, British English and American English. But one of my biggest dream is to travel to London. London is my thing. And I say to my students all the time how important is to learn British English, because the culture there is so relevant, is so crucial. And another way is the phonetic and to recognize the language, because English is the franca language around the world, but the students need to recognize what difference need to put in the real context when they need to improve different skills, for example listening, speaking, writing and reading, and comprehension, because I say all the time because um, when you need to interact in a real context with native speakers around the world aren't only American English, American people. No, isn't true. Yeah, the most is crucial is to improve skills in different types of language. But British English is more elegant, and you have different strategies to improve this language to American English. But I love American English and British English.
Yes, if you understand British English, you understand everything. I mean, for me, it's
Yeah,
super hard to understand the British accent, and I love to watch series
yeah,
and movies,
different, yeah, different
from
words
British
are
and
so difficult, but watching movies for me or series, for example extra English from London, is so crucial to understand this type of language.
yes, yes. Thank you, Carlos.
And,
Okay, who continues with the questions for Carlos?
Me, teacher.
Okay, Fernando, go ahead.
Carlos, do you believe that it's easy for a Native American to understand British English? For example, for me, it's difficult to process the accent in Cartagena, for example,
yeah, I recognize it. Yeah, the question is for my students or for all people around the world?
for all people in general.
Oh, okay. I think British English is more difficult than study American English. American English is very easy, but when you have technique or a methodology in your house, for example, listening podcasts in British English, or music in British English, or movies in British English, like Harry Potter, this type of sounds move all the time on your mind, and this is a natural way when when you learn this type of language. I think for people around the world is easy, depends of the situation and depends the motivation. For me, the motivation is very hard. It's very hard. No, it's very um
Huge.
it's very huge, yeah, because
You're
one of my dreams is to go there. Yeah, thank you for
Yes.
asking.
And yes, I mean, Francis is right, because you know what? Sometimes on different movies or TV shows, we see that some
American,
American people make fun
yeah,
of the accent. I mean,
yeah,
I think it is similar here when you listen to a costeño and you're like, what? I think it is the same. The difference, the small
okay.
difference is that costeños are not as fancy as the British
It's
people.
true, yeah, all right.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Thank you, Carlos. Let's continue with Nadia, please.
Okay, can you listen to me? No? Yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Perfect,
very well.
perfect.
Okay. Okay, my question is, as students that we are, do you think we could improve our accent by studying British English apart from American English? I mean, but, for example, because my level is very basic.
Okay, the levels are crucial in this part of the learning process. And to recognize first the sounds and the phonetic, yeah. When you learn American English, this is the same way to learn British English. The students need to have different strategies, activities to improve this type of language. For example, in my classes, I love to realize shadowing all the time because the students recognize naturally the sounds and the grammar for me. Sorry for that, but the grammar for me, yeah. But I think grammar is crucial, yeah, obviously. But the natural way to improve a language is only listening and speaking. The grammar is into this part of the communicate. Um, um, yeah, I think this is the same way. This is the right way to improve the British accent.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Nadia. Okay, Laura, your question, please.
Okay, well, Carlos, and in your especially in your speech, you were talking about some methodologies to carry on with the students. My question is, in your personal environment as a teacher, what are those methodologies that you use with your students to learn about the British pronunciation?
Yeah. Okay. My students love karaoke. Karaoke is so crucial to improve, to level up different accents. Yeah. Karaoke, listening music in British accent. Shadowing. Shadowing is one of these type of activities to allow improve the different sounds, the consonants and the vowel sounds when you need to recognize what is the message. Yeah, shadowing. Free write and free write is one of the strategies that I use in my classes because the students need to write these words in a real context. For example, when you need to write the word parking lot, yeah, and so on. And another strategy, a methodology is to teach based on speaking time. I love the speaking time, I love reading time, I love writing time, and I love listening time. My students recognize different strategies. For example, when one of the activity is to study in BBC Learning. BBC Learning is from Cambridge, and Cambridge is and the students recognize the words in BBC Learning and the real slang words, sorry, and the real pronunciation, real words when they need to write or to express different ideas.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Laura. And Andres, are you there? Do you have a question for Carlos?
Yes, teacher. Carlos, maybe do you know some platforms, interactive platforms to learn British English?
Good question. I love this question. Yeah. For example, one of them is BBC Learning. Um, Brainland. Brainland is another tool to allow to improve the language. BBC Learning. I need check check out this tool because the different activities, speaking, writing, is so engaging for you. And Brainland is free, but you need in other time to buy. And BBC Learning is free all the time. I prefer BBC Learning for real context and for different skills in a special listening skills and reading skill.
Thank you, Carlos.
Okay, thank you, Andres.
Anytime.
Thank you, Carlos. Very good. Now,
Thank you.
okay, we finished with Carlos' presentation. Now we're going to continue with Francis. Just a moment, I'm going to share the screen.